Imagine leaving for a 2-week vacation, trusting your home is safe, only to get a call from your neighbor that makes your stomach drop. Did you know someone just broke into your house? You rush back, heart hammering, to find your front door slightly ajar. Not a burglary, not a prank. Someone, officially hired by your HOA, had a locksmith break in for an inspection. Every item untouched, yet your privacy shattered. And the neighbor who told you? She's the same. One who filed a dozen petty complaints about your landscaping last month. Welcome to my nightmare, where HOA power trips meet real-life intrusion. The first clue that something was off came not with a phone call, but a voicemail. I'd just stepped off the plane, dragging my luggage through the sleepy Sunday crowd, when my phone buzzed relentlessly. The caller ID flashed, Carolyn, Oak Ridge Estates HOA. My stomach sank. Hello, I said, trying to mask my exhaustion. Hi, this is Carolyn. Your house. We, had to do an inspection while you were away. Inspection? While I was... What? My voice cracked halfway. The background noise of rolling suitcases and echoing announcements did nothing to soothe the sudden jolt of panic. Yes, we noticed some, minor compliance issues. So, a locksmith was called to make sure, everything was secure. A locksmith. In my house. My hands tightened around the phone. The metallic clank of luggage wheels against the tile suddenly unbearable. Wait, someone broke into my house? Well, we didn't break anything. It was professionally handled. Professionally handled? My mind ran through every scenario. My door pried open. Photos moved. My mail sifted through. My life's little details, completely violated. And all for minor compliance issues. I hung up, gripping the phone like it could somehow shield me. Outside, the sun was blinding, but inside my chest, a storm brewed. My neighbor's voice echoed, unbidden. I saw them at your door. They were talking to someone in a uniform. As I drove home, each mile dragged like molasses. Houses blurred past, lawns immaculately trimmed, children playing, oblivious. But my sanctuary, the place I came home to after late nights, after stressful workdays, wasn't mine anymore. Not in the way I thought. I pulled into my driveway and froze. The door looked the same, but not the same. Like a painting that's slightly crooked and you can't stop staring at it. And then I noticed the faint scratch marks around the lock. My hands shook. My mind raced. Who exactly did this, and why? And right as I reached for the doorknob, I saw it, an envelope tucked under the mat, stamped with my HOA's seal. I froze. The envelope felt heavier than it should have, like it carried more than paper. My fingers trembled as I slid the flap open. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed in cold, bureaucratic font. This notice confirms an inspection was performed on your property on dates. No violations found. Please ensure future compliance. Oak Ridge HOA. No apology. No acknowledgement that someone had entered my home without my consent. My eyes darted around the living room, half expecting to see overturned furniture or a missing laptop. Nothing looked disturbed. Everything was normal. Too normal. I walked through each room slowly, scanning shelves, closets, drawers. My home smelled the same. Warm, familiar, slightly of vanilla candles I'd burned the week before. Yet I couldn't shake the sense of intrusion. Someone had been here, seen the minutiae of my life, the framed photos of my parents, the little notes I kept pinned to the fridge, the pile of unopened mail I'd left in a basket. Someone else had looked. I reached my office and froze. My laptop, normally locked with a password, sat open. Not open exactly, just unlocked. My stomach dropped. A quick check of browser history and recent files showed nothing deleted, nothing accessed in any malicious way. But still, the violation was there, in the air, in the way my home felt smaller, exposed. I sank into the couch, the envelope resting on my lap. My phone buzzed. A text from my neighbor, Marcy. Saw her again. Karen was talking to the locksmith in your driveway. She looked smug. I swear she was smiling. I laughed nervously, but it was hollow. Marcy had never exaggerated. Karen, the HOA president, the one who had complained about the height of my hedges and the tilt of my mailbox, had orchestrated this. She had a plan, and I'd walked right into her little theater of power. The front door clicked behind me. I spun around. Empty. Just the house settling? Or was someone still here? My mind raced, imagining the locksmith lingering with permission I never gave, just waiting to justify their presence. I sank back into the couch, my hands tightening around the envelope. A wave of anger, disbelief, and fear crashed over me at once. This wasn't about compliance. This was about control. And then I heard it. The faintest sound of a key turning in my neighbor's gate outside. I bolted to the window, heart hammering, and peered through the blinds. There she was, Karen, hands on her hips, glaring at my front door as if it had personally offended her. Behind her, the locksmith lingered near my driveway, his tools slung over one shoulder, looking awkwardly like he was waiting for applause. I stepped outside, forcing my voice to sound calm. Karen, what exactly is going on here? Her eyes narrowed, and that perfect HOA smile flickered into something sharper. Oh, don't act so surprised. We had to ensure your property was up to code. You never responded to our emails, and your landscaping, well, let's just say it needed attention. Needed attention? I repeated, incredulous. You sent a locksmith into my home while I was on vacation for some hedges? Karen tilted her head as if I were missing the obvious. It's standard procedure. The community must maintain certain standards. You know, safety, aesthetics. I felt my jaw tighten. So breaking into my home without my consent counts as standard procedure now. The locksmith shuffled uncomfortably. I was just following instructions, he muttered, avoiding her gaze. Karen's lips pressed into a thin line. Look, I did what was necessary. If you have a problem, you can file a complaint. But the inspection is complete. Everything's fine. My hands shook, my pulse racing. Fine. My privacy was violated. My house was trespassed on. You can't just... Before I could finish, Marcy appeared from next door, waving frantically. I saw the whole thing. She had a contractor break in, and she's bragging about it. Karen's expression flickered, a hint of irritation breaking through her practiced poise. Well, we all have responsibilities. You can't expect us to bend the rules for every resident. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my anger. Responsibilities? You think this is responsibility? It's harassment. Pure harassment. Karen's eyes hardened. Watch your tone, or next time we'll escalate this. Her threat hung in the air, cold and deliberate, like the snap of a guillotine. The locksmith shifted his weight again, clearly uncomfortable. I stared at Karen, realizing this wasn't just about an inspection. This was personal. I glanced at the envelope in my hand. The official seal of the HOA suddenly felt like a taunt. And then Karen smiled. A slow, deliberate smile that made my stomach churn. Oh, and by the way, she said, her voice sweet as poison. You might want to check your backyard before nightfall. We had a special visitor while you were gone. My hands were trembling as I approached the sliding glass door to the backyard. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the lawn, and the familiar scent of freshly mown grass somehow felt alien, like the place had been invaded in spirit, if not in matter. I pushed the door open slowly. The hinges creaked. At first, nothing seemed out of place. The garden gnomes still stood in their silly parade. The birdbath was untouched. My relief was brief, because then I saw it. A bright orange cone in the middle of the patio, and next to it, a small pile of freshly disturbed soil. My heart raced. A pang of anger and disbelief surged. Who digs in someone else's yard without permission? I crouched to inspect the soil, brushing it with my fingers. And that's when I noticed the envelope. Another one. This one wet and smeared with mud. I picked it up, wiping dirt from the glossy HOA seal. Inside, a note, just making sure everything is in order. Karen. A shiver ran down my spine. In order? I muttered, my voice barely audible. Whoever wrote this found some twisted satisfaction in their control. I spun around, scanning the yard. No one. But the sound of a hose hitting the concrete in the neighbor's yard made my nerves jump. Karen. She'd been there, watching, orchestrating this little performance. My personal sanctuary had become her stage. I sank onto the patio chair, trying to breathe. Anger battled disbelief, my mind a whirlwind of how could someone... Thoughts. And then, I noticed it. My garden shed door slightly ajar. The lock untouched, but the latch swinging like a pendulum. I froze. Every horror movie I'd ever laughed at came rushing back. But this wasn't fiction. This was my life. Slowly, carefully, I approached the shed. The smell hit me first. Earthy, metallic, like someone had been rummaging through tools and soil. I flung the door open. The shed was empty. Nothing stolen. Nothing obviously disturbed, except one thing. A small pink sticky note on my workbench, written in Karen's unmistakable scrawl. Next time, we'll be more thorough. HOA. My stomach churned. She wasn't done. She had escalated from my door, to my backyard, to my shed. and it was clear she was daring me to react. I leaned against the shed, my mind racing. What else could she possibly do? And then, a camera flash went off somewhere behind the house. The flash made me jump, my heart hammering so loudly I thought Karen herself could hear it. I spun toward the back fence, peering through the slats like a startled animal. For a moment, I saw nothing, just shadows stretching across my lawn. Then I noticed it. A small, inconspicuous camera perched on the corner of the neighbor's roof, angled perfectly toward my backyard. I felt a chill run through me. She'd been filming. Every backyard visit, every shoveled patch of soil, every note she'd left. It was all for her own archive. Karen wasn't just asserting control, she was documenting it, like some twisted reality show starring me. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a text from Marcy, my neighbor ally. I saw it too. That camera. She's definitely watching you, be careful. I swallowed hard. Watching me, recording me. The idea that my life, my home, my private moments could be cataloged by Karen was more invasive than I could stomach. I ran inside, grabbing my laptop. Every HOA email, every note from Karen, every suspiciously friendly neighbor update, I downloaded and documented everything. I needed evidence, proof, something solid before confronting her. As I typed, the doorbell rang. My blood ran cold. I wasn't expecting anyone. I peeked through the peephole. Sure enough, Karen, in all her immaculate HOA regalia, smiling that same calculated smile. "Hello again," she chirped, in a tone that made my teeth grind. "I thought I'd pop by to check on the property. Everything's in such lovely order, isn't it?" I stepped back, my voice trembling with barely contained rage. "What part of you broke into my house and harassed me do you think is okay?" Karen tilted her head, that infuriating condescending tilt. "Oh, don't be dramatic. You're exaggerating. I simply ensured everything was compliant. You know, for the neighborhood's sake." For a moment, I wanted to slam the door. But something inside me shifted. I straightened, my voice firm. "No. This ends now. You have no right to enter my property without permission. No right to harass me. And yes, I know about the camera." Her eyes flickered. Surprise, maybe a hint of panic, before her mask returned. "Well, we'll see what can be done. Sometimes rules are flexible. But don't worry, dear. This is all for your own good." And just like that, she turned and walked away, leaving me trembling, furious, and more determined than ever. But as I closed the door, my phone pinged. Another photo. This time, it wasn't of the yard. It was of me, inside my own house, taken through the sliding glass door. The photo made my stomach turn. Me sitting at my kitchen table, laptop open, oblivious. Or so Karen thought. My sanctuary, my home, invaded again. This time captured like some private exhibit. I felt rage and fear collide in a dizzying mix. I immediately called Marcy. "You weren't kidding," I whispered, voice tight. She's been taking pictures inside my house." "I warned you," Marcy said firmly. "We need to get proof and get this to someone who can stop her." Proof. Evidence. I scoured my house for anything Karen might have left behind. Notes, footprints, even the faint scuff marks on the hardwood. Everything went into a folder on my laptop, time-stamped and documented. Each email, every envelope, and every sticky note became a piece of a puzzle that showed just how far Karen was willing to go. But then I paused. What if she escalated further? Cameras, photos, intrusions. I realized she was testing boundaries, seeing just how much she could get away with. And now she had proof I knew. Proof I was documenting everything. The next morning, I drove to the HOA office, folder in hand, heart thudding like a drum. The receptionist glanced at me, eyebrows raised, as I asked to speak to the board president. Karen. She was there, impossibly calm, sorting paperwork, the same smug smile plastered across her face. "Oh, you're early," she said, as if my arrival was some quaint social call. I took a deep breath. "I have evidence of harassment, trespassing, and unlawful surveillance. I demand this stops immediately." Karen chuckled lightly, a sound that made my skin crawl. "Evidence, dear. Let's be reasonable. You're blowing this out of proportion. I only observed and documented for compliance. Surely you understand the importance of community standards?" I slammed the folder on the desk. "Community standards don't give you the right to violate my privacy or break into my house." Her smile faltered slightly, but only for a fraction of a second. Well, then perhaps we can negotiate. Negotiation. The word lingered in the air like a threat. I realized Karen wasn't just an overzealous HOA president. She was a strategist. Calculating, manipulative, and relentless. She would escalate as long as she could, and then she leaned closer, voice almost conspiratorial. You know, this could all be avoided if you simply complied. I froze. The implication was clear. Compliance, or who knew what next? As I left the office, the hallway seemed narrower, the walls closing in. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. And outside, I saw her car parked across the street. Karen watching, waiting, always watching. When I got home from that suffocating HOA office, I knew exactly what I had to do. This wasn't just annoying harassment anymore, this was criminal. And Karen had gotten far too comfortable thinking she was untouchable. I spent the next few hours compiling everything. Photos, text messages, voicemails, screenshots of my open laptop, the shed note, the yard digging, the locksmith's involuntary role in the break-in, the photo of me taken inside my own house. That one went straight to the top of the list. Illegal surveillance was a line she should never have crossed. By the time afternoon rolled around, I had it all in a neatly organized digital report. Then I made 2 calls, one to the police and one to a lawyer specializing in homeowner rights. The officer on the phone didn't sound amused. You're telling me someone hired a locksmith to enter your home without consent? Yes. And they photographed you inside your private residence? Yes. We'll send someone to speak with you immediately. Finally, someone who got it. 20 minutes later, a patrol car rolled up. I walked the officers through everything. They photographed the lock scratches, collected the HOA notes, and took witness statements from Marcy, who, bless her heart, was eager to testify. Karen must have noticed the squad car, because soon enough she was marching across my lawn like a dictator, concerned about public safety. Is there a problem here? She asked sweetly, eyes narrowing at the officers. Yes, ma'am, one replied sharply. We need to ask you some questions. For the first time, Karen's face cracked. The confidence drained. Her mouth opened and closed like a goldfish out of water. She tried excuses. She tried twisting the story. She even tried to blame me. But the moment the locksmith, who'd been tracked down by phone, confirmed everything. Karen's fate was sealed. Trespassing, illegal entry, privacy invasion, harassment. They didn't arrest her right there, but watching her be escorted away for questioning was satisfying, like justice finally stretching after a long sleep. Weeks later, she was removed from the HOA board completely. My lawyer is pursuing damages, and that camera? Taken down within 48 hours. Now, when I sit on my patio, I breathe easy again. My home is mine. And Karen? Well, rumor has it she moved to another neighborhood. I just hope their hedges are trimmed perfectly to code.